Hey, Ben here. Thought I would make a video about how I write Facebook ads copy in 2024. I thought I'd add this disclaimer. I'm no copywriting pro, but I've made enough mistakes along the way that I can probably give advice if you're completely fresh to writing copy for Facebook ads. So what a lot of people do, including myself in the beginning, is you look up some competitors in the Facebook ads library and you kind of copy what they do and you make it your own. Which is fine for the first level. The first thing is that it doesn't build an understanding of what points actually cause clients to take action. So it's not done in a thoughtful way that you can pinpoint, this is the messaging that makes people react. The second problem is that it doesn't hit a specific level of the client awareness funnel. So for example, you don't really know whether this is working more towards clients who are super aware of your product or not aware of your product. You're sort of just hitting it at random. And the third thing is it's kind of difficult to make improvements to the copy in a modular structured way, because again, it's sort of done at random. You don't know how the copy is put together necessarily, so you don't know whether you should change this part or that part, whatever it is, in order to iterate its performance. So here's what I do now, which is an upgrade from how I started a while ago. So the first thing I do is I pick the awareness level. So I took this graphic from Growth Marketer. If you don't know what Growth Marketer is, check it out. Click the link on the post. But basically, there are 5 levels, hypothetically, of where a customer is in their journey. So 1 is they're unaware of a problem. 2 is they're aware of a problem. 3, they're aware of a problem and they kind of got an idea on what the solutions could be. And then 4, they have some products in mind. And then 5 is they know about your specific product. So when I'm writing the copy, I want to pick one of these first. So something I've learned from people who mentor me in the space is that if you want to scale, you start obviously as close to product/solution aware as possible, because you get those fast results. But if you want to scale your ad spend, you really got to go up towards problem aware and maybe even unaware. I don't do any advertising that targets unaware, obviously, but moving up the chain to problem aware was something that was really interesting to me. So the first thing I do is I pick the level of awareness to start writing my copy around that. So one way you can come up with ideas on this is you can use a tool like Perplexity to search out what are the typical problems, pain points people have around a certain product or service, and then you can force it to search just for social answers. So it'll check out Reddit. I don't think it checks out Twitter or anything yet, but yeah, definitely use that tool as a starting point, because that will collate a lot of the negative discussions that are happening there and help you profile some of the particular pain points that you can use to tackle that part of the awareness chain. So I'll make an example. So I did ads for my own newsletter. In this case, I just wanted to do a test run targeting solopreneurs, coaches, that kind of stuff. So if I could think about the problems they might have that is related to my service, which is Facebook, Instagram ads / PPC, you could imagine that someone might have a problem with, they want to grow their personal brand or their coaching business, and they know they got to horse around on social media, but they feel like it's so hard to get traction. This is just one problem. If you think back to the 5 levels of awareness, there are multiple problems in the problem aware stage. So I just picked one of those problems to base my copy around. So the next thing is I develop copy angles. So I talked about this in another video, how I use customer psychology to write my ads. In this case, there's this really cool framework by Hotjar. If you're not familiar with it, it's a tool that helps you get user insights from website users in order to improve your conversion rate. But they have this model called drivers, barriers, and hooks, which basically breaks down 3 different groups of reasons why somebody may or may not convert on your website. So they've got drivers, which are things that drive people to engage with your product or service. So you could think of that as motivations, really. Barriers, so these are things that stop people from actually getting over the line and contacting you or working with your service or product. And the third thing is hooks. These are the things that actually persuaded people to move over. So that's the next thing I do. So I've got the problem marked out. In this case, I picked the problem aware stage, and the problem I picked was that people felt like, for example, they were getting no traction on social media. So they wanted to grow their personal brand, they're horsing around on social media, but they're not really getting any traction. So I picked different copy angles out of this. So for an example, I could do different angles like, stop wasting time trying to get traction and use something that speeds up the results. Or if you feel frustrated not getting traction, do something that gives you more control over the result. Use Facebook ads. Or a third example, I should have thought of this before recording the video. Third example could be something like, if you're tired of trying to get traction, here's how to get better feedback on what people are actually interested in 48 hours. That's an example. So these are 3 different copy angles on that same problem. So from there, then I write the headlines. So imagine, again, that I'm targeting this part of the awareness stage. I've got these three different angles. I can write headlines. Typically, I write them either curiosity-based or statement-based headlines. The curiosity-based could be something like, here's the coolest way that personal brands are blowing up on social media in 2024 or 2025 without spending all day on LinkedIn, as an example. That's a curiosity-based headline. A statement-based headline could be something like, just a general pitch, something like, cut your time waste on social media by 500%, as an example. Or you can go straight to the point. So this is the third thing I typically do. So I try to make it extremely clear what the product is. In my opinion, this makes the intent a bit better. So when someone clicks on your ad, they kind of get what the ad's about. So in this case, I wrote a headline, free newsletter, how to Facebook ads for solopreneurs. So I communicated really quickly what it's about, who it's for. Just note that when you do the headline writing, it won't show on Instagram, it'll only show on Facebook, but it's still important to pay attention here because you can see here on this ad, if you use the Advantage Plus overlays feature on the creative, it will actually add the headline on top of the graphic on certain platforms. So in this case, it's adding a little bar at the top on Instagram to the graphic itself, which is kind of cool. So if you don't have a good headline, then you're wasting that opportunity. The next thing I do after I've got the headline, so I've written multiple, probably three or so at this point, I write the opener. So if you look at this graphic here, you can see I've got the ... see more part highlighted in red. So when you have an ad post on Facebook or Instagram, it will truncate the copy to show only a little bit of a preview image, preview text, and then you got to click see more to see the rest of the text. So you need to write the copy with this in mind. So when you go to write the beginning of the body copy, you want to write the hook in a way that I call an opener. So it's like an opener with a truncation in mind. So I watched this really cool tutorial on YouTube by Andrew Hubbard. I put a link to it here in the article. That says you can lean into this by opening curiosity or basically lining up that truncation to make sense. So you create an open loop and then you close the loop once they click the see more. And this actually helps improve your click-through rate. So I've seen click-through rates go from about 2% on average up to 4%, sometimes 5%, depending on how cool I made the opener. So definitely something to try. So an example here I wrote for the opener was solopreneurs feel like you're getting nowhere with organic social media. Me too. So I closed the loop, not necessarily by saying something amazingly cool, but I just used a bit of empathy to try and connect with the reader here. Again, I'm not some super duper copywriter, but you get the concept here. So yeah, that's the way that I open the loop and I close the loop and make the hook that way on the copy. I usually write at least 2 openers, but I kind of like to write 2 openers for each angle that I have. So if I have 3 headlines, 1 for each angle on that problem, then I'll try to write 2 openers for each of those headlines. The next thing is body text. So this is what comes after the opener. So I like to keep a fairly neutral body text, which is basically a pitch and a CTA, but it really depends on what copywriting framework you're using. If you're using BAB, so before, after, bridge, as a copywriting framework, then you're going to have to write the body in such a way that it's the after and the bridge portion, and then your opener is the before portion of that copy framework. So just keep that in mind. It depends on what kind of copy framework you're using for the body text. So I try to make 2 variations, but often I only use 1 just to begin with, and then I'll develop a second and a third later on as I go through the process of iterating and improving the ads. But you can get away with 1 in the beginning if it's pretty neutral. So now you should have 3 to 4 headlines, at least 2 openers, ideally 2 openers for maybe each of the angles that you found, and you have 1 to 2 body copies that you can do. So now you can run testing and iteration. So when you run your ads, you can run 1 headline for each ad with a supporting body opener that matches that headline angle, and use the same body copy for each of those 3, and this will help you ideate to find out which messaging is the most effective for that problem. And then you just go through the process of writing new headlines that lean into that problem, writing new openers that lean into that problem, and writing new body copy that leans into that problem, so that you can get even better and better results as you cycle the ads every 7 to 14 days. In any case, that was the guide. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, see you next time.